Well, the Democrats find themselves on the wrong side of every single issue, and now is on the front headlines as being crime, not only across all of the United States, but focusing mostly on Washington, D.C. As Donald Trump has federalized, the Washington, D.C. is now sending the National Guard and taking over the police force to do something that the Democrats absolutely refuse to do: arrest criminals and lock them up in prison where they belong. But there's nothing that the Democrats love more than a violent, radical criminal, as they will release them over and over and over again with their activist judges back on the streets. And it's you, the American people, that suffer the consequences for their failed action. And enough is enough. We finally need to have law and order. Promises made and promises kept. Now, Donald Trump, that he's brought into Washington, D.C., and he's starting to secure, understand this about the Democrats. What the Democrats are really terrified of right now is that they're terrified that this will actually work, because this will expose the hoax that they've been lying about for a very long time about how they use these AGs and these prosecutors and the DAs and these judges to release violent criminals back in the street, lying about how this is somehow moral and just and equitable, when really it puts people in danger. So if Donald Trump is able to go in there, arrest these criminals and put these away, and then it cleans up Washington, D.C., then what happens next? People are going to say, wait a minute. No, the Democrats, they were lying about Washington, D.C. Where else were they lying about? Were they lying about Chicago? Or were they lying about New York? Are they lying about L.A.? I mean, where else are the Democrats lying about their crime statistics? Because that's exactly what is happening here in Washington, D.C., as now that Donald Trump has gone in, he's starting to clean up house. Yeah, everybody knows that these statistics they're trying to release doesn't make any sense. And the real irony of this is when they're trying to say how crime is down, when it's not really down. The commander is actually suspended for lying on these criminal statistics. They would, one, not arrest people. Two, they would not charge them with the levels that would go to the FBI if they got arrested or charged at all. And they're doing this mostly with underage teenagers as somehow pretending that this is merciful to let these violent gang members and thugs back out on the streets. And even on MSNBC this morning, Morning Joe even had to admit that Trump was right. And this caused his Mika Brzezinski, she is not impressed at all, as you're not supposed to know that the DC is turning into a war zone underneath the Democrats. But here is Morning Joe actually admitting what the Democrats do not want you to know.
Go back to the fact that, you know, the people that are cheering this on privately are not like right-wing Republicans, are not MAGA people. A lot of our friends are in the media, and also Democrats that worked on Joe Biden's campaign, that worked on other campaigns, that are saying, yeah, I'd like to feel safe walking around this city.
Would you like to feel safe walking around Washington, D.C.? I mean, would you like to go out after 8 p.m. at night or be able to walk more than a couple blocks? And look, the look on Mika's face right there when he is admitting the one thing that you're not supposed to admit. She's like, shut up, Joe. Why don't you go on another vacation, Joe? This is not the mainstream media's talking point. The mainstream media's talking point is crime is down, right? We had the police say that the crime was down. That's what we're going with. Even though somehow if you're not arresting criminals and you're not prosecuting criminals, then crime isn't actually down. And then do the trifecta is that then they're downgrading these statistics and we're lying about them apparently. And this is why this commander was suspended. But Morning Joe continues, and then watch Mika at the end as she's most unimpressed.
At least the people I've spoken with that live in D.C. day in, day out, see this as a positive step.
I think it's also reasonable to be concerned.
Yeah, it's also reasonable to be concerned. She's trying to bring it back to the same old Democrat talking points that has always been. All right, they have to look at Donald Trump is so bad, and the Democrats are right. And the Democrats, see, they were born to rule. And because of that, because of their right to rule over you, that then that they have the right to rule over you, that they cannot be wrong. See, this is the hubris in the Democrat side. This is the liberal elites. It almost comes off them just like this arrogant slime, like Gavin Newsom's grease in his hair, where they're just so elitist, right? They look at you like they're somehow above you, and they shouldn't even ever have to justify themselves to you, the American people, because they are right. And they can't let these facts get in the way of their narrative. So just shut up, Joe. Just stop talking. You're not supposed to be agreeing with Donald Trump. I mean, all the liberal elite have gotten together and they've decided that Donald Trump is very, very bad. And because Donald Trump is very, very bad, really meaning you, the American people, how dare you vote for Donald Trump, that you can't do anything that would make Donald Trump look good. Or maybe Joe would just go on another planned vacation all of a sudden magically after he dared to do that. But he continues to do so. He names out this next text message, and this is, of course, from someone that is very liberal.
You a text from someone who we'll just say that they're very liberal. And he says, this may sound controversial, but I'm not totally opposed to Trump's National Guard move in D.C. I know he's doing it for politics, but crime remains rampant.
He's doing it for politics. So they still have to try to downgrade everything that Trump is doing, right? He couldn't possibly have a moral reason or actually that he is president and he's doing the job that he's elected for. And the Democrats, they can never, ever allow that. No, so this is all just politics. But then he goes on to admit that, crime can actually go down if you arrest criminals. I'm shocked. I know.
Too many friends carjacked, shot at. None of us will walk more than 3 blocks after 8 p.m. 13-year-olds are committing many of these crimes. Quite a change from a decade ago when things were much calmer.
Right. 13-year-olds are committing much of these crimes. It's because that is the Democrats. They've drawn their line under the 18 or younger. And this isn't just in Washington, D.C. They're doing it everywhere they have power. They're doing it majorly in California. Remember Gascon and all the crap that he pulled, or into New York with Braggs and the rest of them, or Letitia James, right? None of them want to prosecute people if they're under 18. California is even trying to shut down juvenile detention centers to keep releasing these violent, radical criminals back out onto the streets. But what happens when you release criminals? They commit more crimes. I mean, is that weird? Yeah, that doesn't sound so weird to me. That sounds kind of makes sense. Right? So don't release criminals. But the Democrats, see, the only thing that the Democrats love is violent criminals as much as they hate America in our country. But Donald Trump has promised that he is going to clean up the streets of Washington, D.C., and the Democrats cannot stop him. And like we alluded to right from the beginning of this, the one thing the Democrats are more scared of is that what Trump will do will actually work. That Donald Trump will be right. And if you support Donald Trump and his effort to clean up Washington, D.C. and the rest of these Democrat strongholds that they refuse to do so, then take a moment, make sure you like this and share and help us spread an American first message across this great country, the United States of America, where we have the American exceptionalism, and we have an opportunity to live out the American dream, the right to pursue happiness. But in order to do so, of course, we have to have clean, safe streets. And we have to stop the Democrats from releasing all these violent criminals and all these homeless into our cities and into the different states and causing all the problems that come with it. And you have Democrats that are running openly on being for criminals and against law enforcement because they are dead set on being on the wrong side of every single 80-20 issue. So this is Omar Fatah, who's running from Indianapolis, and he openly vows to protect what he calls undocumented residents. It's amazing how they keep making up all these different terms, not to say what they actually are: illegal aliens. And the due process for being an illegal alien in our country is that you get deported back to your home country exponentially. So they make up all these words like protected undocumented residents, or they'll call, I think the strangest one I heard was undocumented American citizens, whatever in the hell the woke Marxist mind virus that is. I have no idea, but I do know if they are illegal aliens. But if they actually say that to you, if they tell you what they are, then none of you, of course, will go for it. So then they have to try to lie and call them dreamers, right? And ignore all the crimes and poverty and the drain on your tax dollars that this legal invasion that the Democrats allowed into our country. But then he goes on, any and all of the Trump, so he will residents from any and all accountability from the Trump administration. Right, so he's going to actively try to stop the federal government from doing what you voted for and arresting and deporting illegal alien criminals. As the Democrats, they love criminals, but they hate American voters. And this is Omar Fedda's statement. The first thing I would say would be the hostile federal government. So it's hostile to who? Well, to illegal alien criminals. Yes. That is natural for law enforcement to be hostile against the people who are breaking the law to protect the people who are not breaking our law. With not only Donald Trump in office, but essentially as a trifecta of both the chambers of Congress and the Supreme Court, well, he doesn't have enough votes to get past the 60-vote threshold. So, no, he doesn't quite have all three, but he does have close. And a lot of our neighbors, especially our undocumented, are very concerned. Good. They should be. If you come into our country illegally, you get deported. And that should very much concern you. In fact, we should make it so uncomfortable and so blatantly dangerous for them. And I'm not talking about physically, but I mean that they will be arrested and deported and then removed from our country permanently. Cut off all the tax dollars, right? The Medicaid, the Social Security, the hotels, the food, the SNAP, cut it all off from these illegal alien criminals and make it so miserable for here and the threat of going to somewhere like Alcatraz that they will just self-deport now and save themselves the trouble and then hopefully have a chance to come back in the future. Because the reality, the difference between us and the Democrats is that we do want immigration, but our side wants immigration to be legal. As we don't want people coming here illegally, obviously. And when we do have people coming here, that they come here and they assimilate to our way of life, that they learn the Western culture, that they love our country, and that they want to participate. They don't want to come here and try to tell us that we need to somehow be some Middle Eastern third world hellhole. You know, if you love somewhere like Palestine so much, or you love Mexico or wherever you came from so much, then go back to that country and go be happy. We don't want you here. We don't need you. We don't want you. We're more than happy to arrest and deport every single one. But if you want to come here legally and you want to come here and you want to be a part of our way of life and to become into the Western culture and to assimilate to our American way of life, to wave the American flag, to speak English, to work and to contribute to society, when that's different. But first, of course, we have to stop the bleeding. And then once we stop the bleeding, and then I do agree that we do need some immigration reform. But the first form of immigration reform is to find all these illegal alien criminals, arrest them and deport them. And this has made Donald Trump more popular, not less. But the Democrats, they have learned no lessons from anything that they're pushing. So this is Democrat strategist Summer Sanders says, we need to rethink what safety means in America. Meaning that she wants to defund the police and release more criminals back on our streets in the name of equity and inclusion. And that's what the Democrats were running on until they realized how unpopular it was. But they never changed how they feel about illegal aliens, about criminals, and about locking them up. They just had to lie more because they were scared to lose votes. But the Democrats, they have never once for a single moment change how they feel about any of those issues. And when she goes on this weird rant on also part of Morning Joe this morning, she actually doesn't offer a single solution. She just talks all the normal talking points that the Democrats do when they're comparing all to these illegal aliens, the Democrats be on the side of criminals first on our side would be the side of the American voters. I wonder why the Democrats are so unpopular. I mean, they continue to learn no lessons, but they continue to also double down on all the things that have caused them to lose the elections, like this Illinois Democrat representative, Dalia Ramirez. And she said this in front of a podium. We will continue to call out terrorist organization that is ICE. As you remember when we talk about how the Democrats, how they are dog whistling for violence against federal officers, this is it. Because she knows exactly what she's doing. And these cowards, these Democrats, they won't do it themselves. And so instead, they try to play this game where they dog whistle for violence by dehumanizing federal police officers. Now they're calling them terrorists. Police officers enforcing our laws. Terrorists. They're calling them the Gestapos and the Nazis and the fascists. And the Democrats, they do not believe any of that. What they believe is that they want these illegal aliens, these criminals out on our streets, because they see that as either voters for the Democrats now or voters for Democrats in the future. And the main way for this is the House census, as the House census only counts heads. It doesn't check currently if you are a U.S. citizen or you're not a U.S. citizen. And so if illegal aliens get head counted, then, there's no real way to show one way or the other. And also you see like 1 million illegal aliens in New York or 1 million illegal aliens just like in LA alone. Now it all starts to make a lot more sense of why the Democrats are so pro-illegals and yet hate the American citizens so much. And because they try to dehumanize these federal officers, they know exactly what they're doing is they're radicalizing the others to go out and do their dirty work for them. As the Democrats sit safely in their high above you, lofty ivory towers and send out like these kind of lunatics to attack police officers, to shoot at them, to throw rocks at them, to terrorize, to scream, to spit at them, all because of this rhetoric. They know what they're doing. Like this leftist here gives away the game, saying this leftist says that they made this video saying they're going to destroy homes of ICE agents and physically assault ICE. So you see why the ICE is wearing masks to protect them and their families. This is why. As violence against the ICE agents has gone up by over 800%, because starting out the Democrats' rhetoric and then activating these radical, lunatic, insane, woke liberals. I hope that this person is arrested and prosecuted for threatening ICE, because it continues after threatening to destroy their homes and physically assault them. He wants the violence from the Democrat Party to continue to get worse. And then he also says that people are fed up, which is not true. Actually, Trump is more popular and ICE is more popular. And then he wants ICE, anyone that works for ICE, to immediately go to jail. So the left, to clarify that, wants to lock up federal police officers for enforcing our federal laws at the very same time that they allow illegal alien criminals to just roam our streets and harm American citizens. Why are the Democrats so unpopular? And then you have this another woke one. So this is this woman who is left again on this crazy loon left, and also whistling for. So these people, they have now whistles, and they're running around in DC. And what they're trying to do is, apparently, is they have these whistles and they're looking for ICE agents and other law enforcement. And when they see them, they're trying to blow these whistles to warn people that that there's about to be arrest. And I got to ask, is that impediment? Right? Is that obstruction of justice? I mean, if somebody, let's say, is breaking into a building to commit burglary, right, and somebody stands outside that building and watches for law enforcement, they can be arrested and they can be prosecuted just like they had gone into the building to rob it themselves. So is this not any different than any kind of other aiding or abetting? It's a very fair question. I think they should be arrested and prosecuted for doing this kind of stuff. And then the Democrats that were lying with the crime statistics, they're also lying now about what's happening to these American citizens who are now being arrested for trying to impede ICE. So this is a story that broke. And first, I'm going to talk about what the Democrats lied about the story, and then you'll see, because what they do is they marry a lie to a truth. And so this is an American citizen that was arrested by ICE. Okay, that is the truth side. But then they marry the lie to the left, to the rest of it, to get you to come to a conclusion that you never would have came to if you knew the entire point. So this is the lie that they told. They're saying that this American citizen is an ICU nurse and a U.S. citizen. Okay, so that's the true part. Next, she was lawfully participating. Okay, this is the part of the lie. Because initially she was, but then she obstructed law enforcement. And that's the part they left out. And then the community observation patrols, whatever woke nonsense activist that is, just monitoring unmarked vans believed to be participating in immigration raids. So again, these citizens are trying to track law enforcement to warn criminals about law enforcement movement. How is that not obstruction? So that's the lie. Then for that, she was kidnapped, according to this leftist, thrown face down, cuffed, and hauled off in an unmarked van. Okay, she wasn't kidnapped, she was arrested. Because that's what happens when you break the law. When you break the law, you get arrested and you get charged with a crime. And this is, of course, what they're hiding about, because she tried to obstruct the law enforcement. She was arrested, not kidnapped, and then she was released. And now the left, their woke Marxist ideology is they're trying to make all the white people on one side versus all the brown people or black on the other side, right? The people of color. But here's another big lie from the left. As ICE and the so-called brown, they actually want deportations too. In fact, over 50% of Border Patrol and over 30% of ICE are Latinos. And Donald Trump, he ran on securing our border and deporting illegal alien criminals. And he gained ground with Latino voters, with black voters, across all grounds except with, I think it was black women. Because the Democrats, again, lying with their Marxism, trying to put a line down the middle and all the people of color on this side and all the evil white people on that side. So ICE is white and bad, and these illegal alien criminals are somehow good. This woke Marxism won't fly. And it just continues to get worse for the Democrats and for their run on the Washington, D.C. And we're going to cover what the insane mayor said, and then also their police chief. And we're going to get into all how DEI is harming our society in law enforcement. That and a lot more. You won't believe what she said. But first, we're way over on a break, so we're going to take this greedy profit break. And then we'll be back. This is the CASHLOREN Show.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2025, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage on all 3 of the major networks, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Folks, have you wanted to start a podcast but you just don't know where to begin? Podbeam is your all-in-one solution to host your podcast and distribute it all across the internet. With my code on the affiliate link down below, you will gain also 1 month free to try the Podbeam service. This is really your one-stop solution to hosting your podcast. Record it, you put it up to just a single upload. Then that upload will distribute to all of the main platforms all across the internet, including Apple and Spotify and many, many others. It will then also automatically share your podcast across all major social media, making your job easier so you can spend more time recording the podcasts that you love and less time managing them on the back end. Podbeam is your all-in-one solution for your podcast needs. Click on the link below, the CASHLOREN, and get your 1 free month today. The corporate media has lied to the American voters for such a long time that they have lost all their influence as a result. And this has also led to the rise of the independent creators, just like here on the CASHLOREN show, where we take our spare bedroom and convert it into a studio. If you're enjoying this content, it will always be free, but you can continue to help support monetarily if you choose to do so. Click on the locals link. It is only $5 a month. This is just a cup of coffee. Not only will you be supporting an independent creator, but you'll be getting lots of free perks in addition to that as well, including exclusive articles and Sunday shows, and thanking you at the end of videos with your name recognition. Take a moment and consider and help support independent creators as we fight fake news. Go to locals right now, hit the support button for just a cup of coffee a month. It'll be worth every single penny, and you're getting lots of extra benefits too. Well, the Democrats are on the wrong side of every single issue that the American voters care about, whether it be the economy or what's being brought up a lot right now is that these illegal aliens and these criminals, the Democrats refuse to lock up and keep in prison where they belong. As the only people that Democrats seem to care about is criminals and these illegal aliens that should not be in our country at all. And the main stage now is the Washington, D.C., as Donald Trump has decided that enough is enough. We're going to send in the National Guard, which is happening right now, and he's going to take over under Pam Bondi, the police department, and start arresting and prosecuting these criminals, especially the ones that are underage. As this is the thing that the Democrats have been doing, is they've been decided, because you know what? Hey, if you're under 18, you get a pass, which is absolutely nonsense, but that's the way that they have been getting to think. And a part of this that has allowed this all to continue is the Democrats, that they're intense standing by and believing in DEI, which they call diversity, equity, inclusion. But really what it is institutional racism. I mean, it's really swapping the Democrats' old version of racism and replacing it now with a new version of racism, of who that they've drawn this artificial line and decided that all the white people should be over here and all the white people are bad. And then all the people of color should all be over here and they are all automatically good. It is the Democrats' new wave of Marxism. As traditional Marxism would be gone along poverty versus having land versus not having land, right? The haves and have-nots. But in the United States of America, that is not working at all, because there is so much value here that people have made so much wealth thanks to our capitalism, those filthy, dirty US dollars that the Democrats seem to just want to take away from all those that have earned it and give it away to those who have not. So to do that, the Democrats do what the traditional do in the Marxism is they take the endpoint, this endpoint, and they decide it is now, where you end up in life. And they decided that the white people have had it far too good for far too long. And now that it is all the people of color that they decided to magically box in a single box, they need to make this fair. And so to do that, then of course the white people have to lose their jobs. And then the people of color have to be promoted up through the ranks. See, this is the equity, not equality. So that's the big difference. Not the best person for the job, but the worst. And I'm bringing this up to Washington, D.C. now, is all these people that they've gone through, the Democrats go, and then they bring up all these DEI people up to the top ranks. Like in the mayor, and like the chief of police, and have allowed all this crime to go absolutely rampant. To the other side of the DEI, not only is it institutional racism, but it also takes these radical leftist ideologues and then puts them in positions of extreme power to push forward all these Democrat push that they want to produce on you, the American people. And this is showing very much on the mayor and on the chief of police. Here is the mayor saying this: all you think is speak for all Americans. No, you don't. You 100% don't. You know what, Mayor? Try to run for president and see how many Americans you actually speak for. She goes, I don't believe that it's legal for American military against American citizens or on American soil. Actually, yes, both are legal in the right circumstances. But the thing is, for most of this, is they're not legal citizens, they're illegal alien criminals. And the Democrats are refusing to enforce our laws. See, that's why the National Guard has to come in to return law and order. Now, most of the time, National Guard is not used this way. That is true, and the left lies about that. But they hold out the other side is that they can be. When things get so extreme out of control, like riots or a crime not being arrested, the National Guard can come in and restore order, and the police can make the arrest, and then the prosecutors can prosecute these criminals. And like Gina said, they're going to arrest these underage criminals, and they're going to throw them in prison. And then watch what's going to happen, because this is the one thing the Democrats are most terrified of, is that Donald Trump will be shown right again to the American voters. As when he goes and he arrests criminals, you know what will magically happen? Crime will stop. Wow, shocking. I mean, the DC, when they were lying about their statistics, were telling the people that their crime was down when they just were not arresting, they were not prosecuting, and even if they were undercharging crimes, especially with minors. When the reality, the DC had the fourth most murder rate in the United States. And a lot was done underage illegal criminals. And out of all the irony is that their police commander was suspended because they were falsifying records to that not report to the FBI. That's another part that fake news is not telling you about. And then the mayor goes on, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that's a fairly wide-held fact. No, it's not. But Donald Trump won all 7 swing states. Donald Trump won the popular vote. And Donald Trump now is more popular, and people actually want these arrests and these deportations. That's what the Democrats are extremely afraid of. Because once he cleans up Washington, D.C., people are going to say, wait a minute, if this is true in Washington, D.C., is it true in L.A.? Is it true in New York? You know, can we lock up these criminals and keep them in prison in Chicago? And anywhere else the Democrats have a stronghold where they get the mayor, and then they get some radical leftist AG, and then they do the same thing. They bring up some Looney Tunes to take over the police force, and all of a sudden people aren't arrested. They're not prosecuted. And even if they ever are, they're undercharged and they're released, especially under minors. And the minors commit some of the most violent radical acts. But the Democrats love criminals and hate American citizens. And this really made huge national news because of a couple big events that happened. One of the White House, their interns was lost their lives. And then you also had another person, this is working for Doge, who is mostly known by his nickname for online being Big Balls. But he also made national news for that name. And then he was helping to expose all the crime, all the fraud, and all the waste that was happening in the federal government. And this young man, this brave hero, he saw a woman be assaulted, and he went up to stop the assault, and he got the living snot kicked out of him for doing it. What a brave young patriot. And This goes on to the White House press briefing room as they are now opening up the press briefing. They're breaking up the corporate media's lock on the White House and reporting news. And Benny Johnson was there today, and he got to ask Press Secretary Livy, he asked her this question. He said, given the heroic actions of the member of the administration, will the president consider giving the Presidential Medal to freedom to big balls? And what do you think? Let me know. Do you think Big Balls has earned the Presidential Medal of Freedom? This has brought huge national attention to Washington, D.C., and hopefully through the rest of these Democrat strongholds as they learn not to mess around. And we start to go to expose how much is happening because they refuse to lock up these violent criminals. But if you don't hate the corporate media enough, the mainstream media here is political. And listen to this headline here. So this is political, who's neutral journalist, and they write this: law and order messaging is a safe space for Trump. Yeah, you think locking up criminals and having law and order is popular with American citizens? I mean, what gave the Democrats that idea and their activists in the mainstream media? And he's using this to try to put Democrats on their back foot. Okay, the Democrats have put themselves on their back foot because they have been pro-illegal criminals, not Trump. The Democrats have made this bed for themselves. I mean, you would think for a single second that if there's some things that we can agree on, is that criminals should be in prison so they can't commit crime. I mean, doesn't that make sense? The sheriff was sharing a stat, and he said on average, when by the time someone has committed murder, that they have been arrested 17 times. And if my memory serves me right, he said that if we locked up people on the 16th and removed them from society, it reduced murders in this country by 50%. I think it was 50%. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm sure the trolls will let me know if I'm wrong on that stat. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but it's something insane like that. I mean, never mind 3 strikes, you're out. This is what the Democrats don't want you to know when they keep releasing all these criminals on this guise of how it's equity and it's fair and how, the justice system is, racist. None of that is true. This is the police chief here. She was the former chief equity officer. And then listen now what she says here when she's asked a very simple question by a reporter. And just what is the chain of command? Now that Donald Trump has taken over DC, this should be a very softball for, but listen to DEI chief turn police chief that they can't answer a very basic question.
Chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does this work?
So at the executive,
she doesn't know what the chief, the chain of command is. What is that? I guess that wasn't in her DEI class. I mean, they're too busy studying pronouns and they're too busy studying equity for her to even understand how the chain of command works. How she's supposed to actually do her job. I mean, this is the police chief. I mean, should that be the most very basic of questions? But she, of course, was the chief equity officer, and equity meaning the endpoint, not being the opposite of equality, meaning that you earn your job. And the very point of DEI is to have institutional racism. So to bring up these people who should never have authority in the first place and say that, you haven't earned it, but you check the right identity boxes, either by your skin color or your pronouns, or maybe you're gay, or maybe you're trans. Maybe you check all of them. I don't know. But the more check boxes you have, the better. So because of your check boxes, not because of your skills, then that should be cause to get you promoted. Right? See, that's what people like Jasmine Crockett means when she's talking about opening things up. And learn no lessons. I mean, what is the chain of command? And so I saw this on X, and this is something to cover real quick. is we're up against a break, but we've had a lot of national news in the police chiefs that keep coming up are women. Now, I have nothing against if a woman wants to go to work and earn her way up. Okay, I like conservatives believe in equality, but the reality is there are jobs that are more suited for men and there are jobs that are more suited for women. Now, I'm not saying that women can't do a job that's traditionally considered for men, or nor that I'm saying that they should be locked out of those jobs. But what I am saying is they should be held to the same standards. We shouldn't cut standards and we shouldn't deny men opportunities because they're more qualified, but they don't check the right check boxes. It should never be this DEI way of looking at life, where they say, you know what, there's not enough women who are chief of police. You know, there's too many white males. See, that's the way the left looks at it. So therefore, what do they have to do to make things equitable and fair is they fire all the white males and then they bring up all these women in these positions that they have never, ever earned. I mean, what's the chain of command? And then people suffer and people hurt and people die. See, that's what I'm against. That's why I'm against DEI, and that's why I'm against this kind of equity bringing people up through the ranks. Make it always about equality. The easiest way to see this is in sports. Because if you have, you know, like the NBA is separate from the WNBA. Why is that? Why aren't there women playing in the NFL? How come we have to have separate women's sports? And then why do we see like biological males who decide one day they're trans, meaning that they claim to be women, but they're actually biological males, start dominating all these women's sports? Because there is reality. Men are bigger, stronger, and faster. And we tend to have more of a logical mind, whereas women tend to have more of an emotional and nurturing mind. There is nothing wrong with that. Each side of the coin, men and women, we have our strengths and we have our weaknesses. And that doesn't make either one more or less. But there are jobs that are suited for men better. And there are jobs that are suited for women better, just because of our natural traits. And if a female can do the work and can earn her way up to the ranks and become chief of police, well, that's amazing. Good for her. But no woman, no man, no anybody should get a position based on equity, based on they didn't earn it, but they checked the right boxes. Because this is what causes it. This is what causes homicide rates to go insane. And then the Democrats, they can't admit it. And so then they have to try to change statistics like their police officer was suspended for, or not arrest criminals and not prosecute them so that you come to the right conclusions. So you don't come to the facts that people have not earned these positions are the Democrat activists that are causing it. I mean, what is the chain of command?
Chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking?
What is the chain of command, Ben? See, that's your DEI officer, now police chief, and she's not the only one. There's been quite a few that have made it recently. And as we go and we fight these battles to make things equality again instead of equity again, as DEI and woke is dying in this country, as it should, but much, much faster. We also have Texas, who is fighting back against the Democrats as they have gerrymandered their states to the point to where there's almost no Republican seats left. And then Texas and the other Republican states are starting to fight back. We had another huge win. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more when we come back. You're not going to miss that or any more of this greedy profit break. This is the CASHLOREN Show.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2025, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage on all 3 of the major networks, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Folks, have you wanted to start a podcast but you just don't know where to begin? Podbeam is your all-in-one solution to host your podcast and distribute it all across the internet. With my code on the affiliate link down below, you will gain also 1 month free to try the Podbeam service. This is really your one-stop solution to hosting your podcast. Record it, you put it up to just a single upload. Then that upload will distribute to all of the main platforms all across the internet, including Apple and Spotify and many, many others. It will then also automatically share your podcast across all major social media, making your job easier so you can spend more time recording the podcasts that you love and less time managing them on the back end. Podbeam is your all-in-one solution for your podcast needs. Click on the link below, the CASHLOREN, and get your 1 free month today. The corporate media has lied to the American voters for such a long time that they have lost all their influence as a result. And this has also led to the rise of the independent creators, just like here on the CASHLOREN show, where we take our spare bedroom and convert it into a studio. If you're enjoying this content, it will always be free, but you can continue to help support monetarily if you choose to do so. Click on the locals link. It is only $5 a month. This is just a cup of coffee. Not only will you be supporting an independent creator, but you'll be getting lots of free perks in addition to that as well, including exclusive articles and Sunday shows, and thanking you at the end of videos with your name recognition. Take a moment and consider it and help support independent creators as we fight fake news. Go to locals right now, hit the support button for just a cup of coffee a month. It'll be worth every single penny, and you're getting lots of extra benefits too. When we fight back, the Republican Party wins because we are on the side of law and order, and we are on the side of truth. Well, greetings, folks. Welcome back to the CASHLOREN show. As we're now going into Texas and talking about how the Republican side, when we fight back, we will win these battles. As the Democrats, they try to scream, they try to rage, and they try to silence you. You notice that it's always the way they work. As the Democrats, they can't win on the field of ideals. They can't argue their side of the fence. So instead, they try to slander you into submission. They'll call you all kinds of names, or they'll make these empty threats to try to get you not to fight back. And in Texas, they ignored all the Democrats, and now it looks like they're going to be well on their way for the Democrats not only losing 5 seats, but also the Republican side will gain 5 seats, and there is going to be a big advantage for that as well. The Texas, if you remember, the Democrats, what they tried to do is they tried to stop quorum by they fled the state. And normally what the Democrats are used to happening is when they go and they break laws, is that nothing ever happens to them, that they're never, ever held responsible. But that wasn't true this time. As the Republicans actually did something, they actually fought back. They cut off their direct deposits. They started fining them every single day. And then they have them arrested and brought back to the Capitol. Now, as I understand this in Texas, that's not like a criminal arrest. That's some kind of like civil arrest. So they get, I think, arrested, but not criminally, and then they get forced to come back to the Capitol and do their jobs, which they never should have done and left in the first place. I mean, you're elected to office. You're elected to serve and represent the people that voted you into that office. You're not elected to run away and stop a vote. If you're going to win, you're going to lose. Both will happen. But the Democrats are not entitled to stop the will of the American voters. And that's exactly what they did. As enough of people in Texas voted for the Republican Party and it's essentially voted for them to now redistrict. And the Democrats have been doing this for decades. All their states are heavily already gerrymandered. But quite few of their states have 40% or more of Republican vote, and yet often have either 20% or less of House seats that are Republican. And then in some of these states have 0 Republican held seats. 0. Yet all of a sudden when the Republicans do the exact same thing back, the Democrats start losing their minds and pretending like this is this huge, threat to our democracy. And this gets even better for Texas as it now got through to the Senate, and the Democrats tried to walk out again after the vote, but they weren't able to break quorum, and so it looks like this is going to happen. And one of the great kind of cherries on top about this, it very much looks like Jasmine Crockett is going to lose her seat, as they have redone the Texas map. So I got that here. So this is the new Texas map that's proposed, and it looks like it is going to go in law before the 2026 midterm. Good. And it's not just Texas. Florida and other Republican states are doing it too. Good. This is the field that we need to fight in. The Democrats have been fighting this for decades and getting away with it. And the weak Republicans wouldn't do the same. California, they have every right. While I don't agree with the decision, they have every right to gerrymander their state. So does Illinois, and so does New York. That is all part of state rights. And the people of those states, if they don't like it, they're supposed to vote those people out. Fine. But if the Democrats are going to do it, then why can't the Republican side do it? Why? You see, there is no good answer for this. Now, they have this Texas House Democrat. She goes on, I don't know which show this was. I didn't recognize the show, but she goes on there and she's lying about that she somehow has a right to abandon a government job. She doesn't. That she does that, she guarantees a job, and it says, here, reposted. Thank you very much. If you're enjoying this, please also repost and help us spread an American First message. Everyone that interacts, I greatly appreciate it, as we have almost 7,000 people watching live on X right now. And every single one of you mean a lot to me. That that this show is an independent creator show, and it's always going to be about you, the American voters. It should never ever be about me. And he responds, "Let's go, Cat information. I really appreciate all your help and all your support. Every single one of you means a whole lot to me." And on X too, quickly, before we get back to the rest of the story, is so on his comments, because sometimes people leave comments and they wonder why I don't see it or I don't know it. If you're on the post and you hit the comment button on the post, I don't see it till after the show or we go to break. But if you actually open up the X and you have the chat there and you type in that chat does come up on my screen and I can see it. As I try to watch for it the best that I can. And so then the Texas House, this was the House Democrat falsely lying that she was right to leave to try to stop quorum. No, she wasn't. That was illegal. And now all the Democrats, they had to come back. I don't know what's going to happen to them. I don't know if Greg Abbott is going to go through the Supreme Court and remove them from their seats, or if he's going to give them a pass because they came back. I have no idea, but I hope the Democrats are finally held responsible. And now with the Democrats, now they return, and Greg Abbott's called special sessions, the U.S. maps will be passed. And the Democrats, when we fought back, they lost again. See, that's why they try to slander you. That's why they'll call you a racist or a bigot or homophobe or transphobe or white nationalist or extreme MAGA Republican. They don't believe in any of that stuff, and they don't even care. What it all really is meant is to tell you to shut up and just try to slander you into submission and giving the Democrats what they want, because they can't win a debate. They can't win on ideals because they have nothing to run on. They can't run on the economy. They can't run on the border. They can't run on law and order. There is not a single issue that the American people care about that the Democrats can run on. They can't run on women's rights. There is not a one. And we got, okay, good. We got a few minutes left. I want to get in the story before we get to the end of the show. As we also had another huge story coming out. And this is as Adam Schiff, as he was busted. And now, as it looks like, well, it doesn't look like, according to this classified document that has been declassified by Director Kash Patel. And this is, I don't know if this was in that so-called secret room or not, or if this is part of the burn bags that they found. But this says that Adam Schiff directly ordered the Russia hoax to be leaked, these classified documents, to try to harm the Donald Trump administration. And that Adam Schiff believed that he was going to become the CIA director under Hillary Clinton. And so he had a big bone to pick with Donald J. Trump. And then you remember how he said for years that he had classified information that Donald Trump was colluding with Russia, and so was his administration, and he couldn't share that information with you because it was classified, but you had to trust him, bro, that this was, in his possession. And his little shifty ways of kind of wording around that. Well, now it takes it to a whole new level, as he was exposed, as he was actually ordered, according to these documents, that these classified documents be released against the American people. And normally we have what we call like a two-tiered justice system, where the Democrats, they do crime and they never suffer any time. But here is Benny Johnson, and here's what they think about this.
Question is open-ended. Have you reviewed these documents? Are you familiar with the Adam Schiff's and the criminal conspiracy to leak against President Trump? Do you plan on investigating?
You know what, Benny? I think you know that this is my wheelhouse. And the difference between me and some other people is that I don't talk about what I'm investigating. I don't talk about what I'm doing. When I have the evidence, when I have enough to go forward, you will hear from me loud and clear.
Loud and clear. I bet no wonder Adam Schiff now is all of a sudden shut up, and he's only talking through a lawyer. TikTok. Well, all the others that were involved in the Russiagate conspiracy that put the Donald Trump's administration through 2 years of hell, but really you, the American people, because the point was to obstruct the Trump administration. Really, it was to obstruct the will of the American people. See, the left think that they are born to rule. I can never overstate that. They think that they have the right to rule over you. And there shouldn't even be elections. I mean, they're smarter than you. They're better than you. You should never, ever doubt these points. I share over and over and over again. And when Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump, it shocked and exploded their whole liberal elitist bubble. And they just couldn't accept that they had lost. And so they made up the excuse of Russia. And you remember December 8th was the huge date, because December 8th, that was the day when the Obama's own administration, his intelligence agencies, said there was no collusion, that there was neither the intent nor the ability of Russia to interfere in our elections. December 8th is an important date. That paper gets pulled from the binder. Why is that also so important? Because Donald Trump had already won the election, which means that Donald Trump would have access to that intelligence report. And then instead it was replaced by Brennan, Clapper, and Comey. And it appears to be ordered by Obama and Clinton, and then now helped by Adam Schiff, all these Democrats, to push Russia. And the entire time they all knew it was a hoax. They all belong in prison for the rest of their lives. If we have any kind of justice, they certainly need to be. And with that, we're at the top of the hour. However, we're starting to do something new this week with the show. Is we're going to now have an after show, and this is going to be on locals only. I tested it yesterday and it worked. So we're going to do it again today. This will be at the locals page. If you're interested in supporting an independent creator, you can do so for only $5 a month. And it means a whole lot to me. As we just had Scott, he supported us yesterday, and we have now Sherry and we have Patrick and we have Allison and we have Byron. And I thank every single one of you for supporting on locals. It's only a cup of coffee, but it goes a long ways to supporting independent creators and helping us fight these corporate media that has billions of dollars back behind them, and that we will give you the whole story and the whole truth. As now we have over 7,200 people listening live. Thank you so much on X. That means a whole lot to me. We've also expanded to Facebook, and we've expanded to YouTube, and we expanded to Rumble, as all of those are starting to grow too. It really means a whole lot to me, every single one of you support. I know it doesn't make any sense if from a logical standpoint, but I can tell. When you guys log in and the numbers go up, I can sense your presence. It's the weirdest thing. I can just tell. And I know that doesn't make any logical sense, but that's what happens. So with that, we're going to shut down for a few minutes. The rest of these stories are going to go back in the stack, and then we're going to launch up over on locals only at the CASHLOREN show, and we're going to do an after show there. If you're interested, I'll post that over on X, and then the locals link is probably on every single one of these live streams. Head over there. We'll talk to you here in just a few minutes as I shut this down and bring that back up. And again, thank you for everyone who's supporting the show. It means a lot. If you enjoyed it, take a moment, hit the like, comment, but most importantly, share a conservative message with your friends and family. We'll be back again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the CASHLOREN Show.